Alright, Ghost Rider here, server 48. We've gotten some new generals. I was kind of hoping, since it was the Maple event, that we'd get a new wall general, because I believe last time when we got Brock, it was at the at this event last year. So I figured on the anniversary we get a new general, which we did not. We got a new siege general. Click, click, click. Here we go. Champlain. Which the rotation was bringing us to either a siege general or a wall general. And we got the siege general. So, and he is good. Like, I seen a video posted. For sure, at least one of someone evaluating him. And then I want to go in and cover this, because this is something I mentioned in my last video, and it was brought up. So we're just going to look if how significant is this when defending enemy ground troop attack. And I mean, the amount of money that you're going to spend to get those generals in the general exhibition, I mean, maybe once you get to a certain level, these would be worthwhile. But when attacking enemy range troop defense, when defending enemy ground, actually that one's all right, because some players like I don't use a ground debuff sub general at all at this point. And then ground troop attack, that buff's cut in half from the others. I would love a free knight, but not at the Oyo, that's for damn sure. So ground troop attack, maybe once you got to a certain level, it's going to be worthwhile. But I mean, I wouldn't break the bank to try to get those generals. But I was just going to touch on that real briefly. So the main part of the video today, which I'm doing two tonight, it's going to be like a two-part. And I wasn't sure exactly how I wanted to do this, but I decided I'd do you ruined my life too. My review on the siege generals, and then I want to talk about the Senate a little bit, and the beast seals, and kind of a format or, recipe for doing that. And then I wasn't sure wanted to go over report reading, debuff troop composition for your defensive build, and debuff report reading, troop composition, and the Coronation fountain. So I'm going to try to fit the Coronation fountain along with the seals and the Senate up here. Siege is probably what's going to take the longest in the first video, so I'm going to crack into it right off the rip. And I got all my numbers down here. So this is how I do it. Lots of people like to do the spreadsheet, and there's spreadsheets all over Discord. But for me, the way to tell if a general truly, truly is good is to go over their numbers one by one, write everything down, know exactly what you're getting. And I'm going to start with the assistants first. And I'm going to tell you guys, instead of saving it for last, which I'll mention it again at the last, but for me, ranking what right now is probably considered the top 4-ish, or the next generation siege generals, I should say. So I've got Champlain at number 1. I've got Stephan II at number 2. I've got Christina at number 3, and I've got Theobald at number 4. So when you look through it, The issue with Theobald, like, he's a little low on the attack compared to the others, but he's super high on the march size. The issue with the march size is it's all in the ascension. So that's the main reason he is at the bottom of the list for assistance, is he has 0 march size. So the dig on Christina was that she had only 5% march size, but at least she gets it in the covenant. Theobald doesn't get it at all as an assistant. So let me show you guys what I do when I look through, because there's lots of people look at things differently. This is what I do, so I know that I cover all my bases. So we're going to go down. Anyone ever notice the Europe culture has like all the good generals, and by far more generals than any other culture? So we get down to Theobald. So, and this is what I mean. Like, so the previous, like the last generation, I guess you'd say, was Hunyadi. Who the hell did I have with Hunyadi? Hunyadi, Pallas, Theodosius. Maurice, I consider Maurice a borderline, because right after we got him, we got Stephan. But when we got Maurice, he was proud. He was in the conversation as one of the best in the game. He had the highest HP of any siege general in the game. Pretty good attack. He worked everywhere, so he was great for like 3 weeks. So Theobald. So now this is what I'm talking about. When I go in and look, I look at all these too. So your general attributes. If you're talking main, for an assistant, it doesn't matter, because from my understanding, general attributes do not work on the assistant, because when you click on the magnifying glass, it's all grayed out. So the general thinking has always been that thought process right there. So this is what I look at. Like, if the buffs are super, super close across the board, once I tally everything up on a main, then I'll look here, and this will be my deciding factor. If they're so close, or even if they're really not so close, I mean, it's still good to look anyway, because when you look at, where they start at and how high a number they rise to, even if you're like, let's say 5% off, or maybe even 10% off, if the numbers are so significantly different, you may be able to compensate that. And then I'll go back and I'll be like, okay, well, now looking at this, everything seems pretty equal on both sides of it. But this player has a bigger march size, so as a main, I have to go with him. So when you look at that, as an assistant, Theobald comes to 125, 100, and 105. 100 HP, 125 attack, 105 defense. No march size. That's the main reason. The fact that he has 0 march size, it's pretty much that, and he's lower on the attack than the others. And he kind of starts off at a lower attack number than the others. So, as an assistant, he is no goodie. Now, Christina, her HP starts at 126. Well, I'm not even going to go over that, because that's for a main. But at the end of the assistant, I'll go into her and I'll show you guys. So when I look at an assistant, general attributes off the table, as far as I know, there was a talk that maybe the power that the Red Stars bring may do something to make the attack better. I don't know. I've never tested it. I don't know. I kind of stick to my normal thought process of that the Red Stars don't count, because that's always been kind of the universal thought process. So anyway, so this is what I look at. I look at the main skill. Then I don't count any of these green, because this is all ascension. So I look at the main skill. And then you go in and you look at this, which this is pretty much the same across the board for every general. The difference may be in the second one. They might have march size, or this will be HP instead of attack. And then you'll see a 20% attack here. So it basically like evens out the fact that the first one was HP instead of attack. And almost everyone's Aries, we all know that. So it basically like, it really comes down to like the last one and the difference there. And when you look at this, Christina's attack is 20% higher. She's a little lower on the HP, but pretty minimally, and a little higher on the defense, and then the march size. So, you know, clearly looking at that, she's significantly higher than Theobald. So that's not even a question. Christina is number 3. Stephan is number 2. And with Stephan, it may be pronounced Stephen. I don't know. I don't get paid to do this. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So, others. And then for him, when we get to the end of the assistant part of his buffs, specialties, the whole ball of wax, he's 10% lower than Christine on the attack, but double the march size, higher HP. So with that being said, you know, that 10%, I think he's going to make up with it by having a double the march size capacity buff. So I've got him ranked second as far as the assistants go. And then when you look at the Covenant, one thing that I do look for is, see these, so the ones that have the gold, and I think this is like maybe a gray area because Evony is so confusing and hard to follow as far as what they really mean when they say stuff. But what sold me here was only effective for this historic general. So that means the gray helmets are only going to work with him. When we look at the gold helmet, it says take effect unconditionally. So just like the talents on the dragons, your third talent, which I can't believe I'm going all the way back for this because I am a lazy shit. I really, really am. I'm really not kidding. So, click. The dragon is the power. The third talent of each dragon or sacred dragon is an active talent. Select and use the corresponding talent in the active skill and interface to gain the buff. The buff takes effect in all cases. So, same thing. And now let's go all the way back. Okay, so portraits, others. So what I was saying, and the reason that this is important is when you have generals that have the gold helmet, it's not an exclusive Covenant. Every general gets that. So when you have one where all the attack is not in a gold helmet, like that's all extra. Because what I mean is like some of these generals, like they'll have the gold helmet for in rally siege machine attack. Well, that's not like an actual like extra bonus. Like that's a bonus that you're sharing with everything in your whole city. But so what I mean is if you go to let's just say this one that says siege machine defense, let's just say that said siege machine attack 5%. Well, if it was a different siege general and it had that, like that's good for you, right? Because you've got all siege attack that's exclusive to this general. It's not shared with anyone else. It's not something that everyone else gets. Which with his attack in the Covenant, it's not super hot. It's like 10%. There's some that are 20, 25, maybe some 30% extra siege attack. And that's really handy. But that's what I mean. Like, look in your Covenant, and if you have a general and you're thinking about switching, and you're like, oh, well, his attack was like a 10% all troop, like, works everywhere. But this new one, all the siege attack is separate, and it's not on a gold helmet. So that's all extra you're going to get, and you're not losing that 10%. You still have that 10%, so you can just add this to that to get a more reliable number. So across the board, I've got Stephan ranked number 2 as far as the assistants, and I'm not going to lie, I am a fan of new generals, and I do like to evaluate them. And when I saw Champlain, I ain't going to lie, I was driving to Houston from San Angelo, so one side of Texas to the other, right? And I just glanced at him briefly, and I was like, you know what? I think he's better. I think he's better than the rest. On the well, I wasn't sure because I just glanced whether it was main or assistant. Now looking at it, Champlain is number 1, and I will explain to you guys why Champlain is number 1. In the buffs that count for assistant buffs, he was basically tied and or better than everyone else. So Stephan was number 2 at 135 attack. Christina was number 3 at 145. And then Christina 5% march size, Stephan 10% march size. Now when we look at Champlain, he's at 145, same as Christina, so tied with the highest attack at the assistant level. His HP is 115, which is the highest of anyone at the assistant general level. And defense, 105, which is kind of par for the course. Christina was a little bit higher. You guys all know the game. Defense on Siege early on was thought as not important at all. But I think as the buffs have gotten higher and higher and higher and higher, I think now it has some value. Not at the level of HP, which I consider to be much more important than defense on Siege. But he's 105, so he's not the highest. He's like the third highest, but highest on the HP and tied for highest on the attack. And he gets 12% march size before Ascension, so it comes in number 2 spec, 6%. Nothing in number 4. And then we go to the Covenant. Defense, march speed, march size, capacity. So within the first 3, we get another 6%. So you're at 12% march size, which is only 2% higher than Stephan, but also he's got that 10% higher attack and 5% higher HP and 20% higher defense. So across the board, you're adding him as a assistant, and that's what the game comes down to. At some point, we have to decide that we are going to build our march combos, and we're going to be happy with it. Otherwise, you're rebuilding all your generals every 4 weeks. Every 4 weeks, there's going to be someone better or worse. So eventually, you have to make a choice. And right now, I feel like Champlain gives me a significant boost. Theobald is my main, which I built him before Christina came out, and I'm sticking with Theobald. I'm gonna do it. Would have been nice to have Stephan, yeah, but he's my wall general, or my assistant wall general. So yeah, at the end of the day, Champlain is without a doubt and really unquestionably the best assistant general of these top 4 that I evaluated. Now, there might be a dark horse in there that I haven't thought about, but in looking at what's probably considered the top 4 siege generals, and Christina got a bad rap, and Evony's been doing this. They've been putting out generals that their stats are better all across the board. They're better than everyone else, and then just horrible march size. And if you've built them, because I built Artemis, and after the fact, I'm like, God, her march size is just killing me. Everything else is great, but the march size is killing me. But But I had already built her, and my thought process is, maybe down the line, something comes into play that is going to be beneficial, or maybe I build up that spiritual beast to a point where she's not all the way built, her gear sucks, all that, and she's not as good as Marco Polo and Hermes, that combo, but she's still pretty good and would make a good second calf boss monster March. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I'm gonna just breeze through the main, and I'm gonna tell you guys how this played out. So on the assistant, Champlain came in first. Stephan the second was second. Christina I've got third, and Theobald I've got fourth. Now, when we talk about the main, this is where we decide we see that not all ascension is created equally. On this one, so the main, I've got Stephan and Theobald first and second. And I'm not saying which is first or which is second because it's so close it could really be interchanged. I mean, they're very, very close. At the end of the day, Stephan comes in with 210 attack. He's got 150 HP and 150 defense with 18% march size. Theobald comes in at 200 attack, 115 HP, 130 defense, and 22% march size. So a little bigger march size. Stephan is higher on the attack, the HP, and the defense. But the HP and the numbers are on Theobald's side significantly. The defense, which again is what it is. So Theobald does get the nod on the defense. Stephan is 131, rising at 8.88 versus 128, rising at 9.17. So it's probably pretty equal. But yeah, I did place Stephan first, and I did place Theobald second. And like I say, it could be either or. And then between Christina and Champlain, I actually placed Christina third, Champlain fourth. And again, these two could probably be interchanged as well because it is so close. So Christina's 220 attack, 145 HP, 185 defense. Champlain is 215 attack. So very close on that number. When we look at the attack, he's at 132, rising at 8 points. So Christina's numbers on the attack give her the advantage. So, but he does have much higher HP. So that there's some value in that too. But his numbers on the HP side don't rise real quick. His strength is probably on the defensive side. And then we discuss 5% march size for Christina versus 12% for Champlain. But the numbers for Christina as a main in the general attributes and along with everything else, I feel like I have to give the nod to Christina. Because it is ultimately it's just a 7% different on march size. So I placed Christina as the third best main of this group and Champlain as the fourth as a main. But I think as an assistant, without a doubt, I would pick Champlain every day of the week out of these four. And Christina's numbers, that's really sick, right? 137, I think that's the highest. I think that's the highest I've seen on the attack side. But she is good. It's the march size, and I'm not 100% as who is the very best as far as march size. as an assistant for Siege. But going through these 4 generals, I'm going to say as a main, Stephan, Theobald. Stephan first, Theobald second, Christina third, Champlain fourth. And Champlain, he may not even be fourth. Dermot Gunther may be better, or that Melisande, or maybe even Hinyadi. I don't know. But that's my review on those 4 generals. Just to give a little overview of like what I look for, and I look at everything and I write everything down, and I look through the Covenant, and I kind of probably dig a little deeper in that than a lot of people do. But I just wanted to like go over it and show you from my point of view. Like, I don't like spreadsheets. I don't trust spreadsheets. Don't like them very much at all. I use them. I go off our server Discord, which shout out to One. They handle all that stuff. They put out all the info. The info has been coming out a little slower lately, but also everyone's gotten a lot busier than when we first started. So just real quick, I'm going to hit up on the Senate, which I finally got everything open. I pushed the victory column to level 10. And you get some nice buffs there too. The 10% on the general, like you feel like 10% is nothing, but once you get there, you notice a significant difference. And I'm sure like this has come out in a video before. Like, people have discussed this. But this is what, so I really didn't know how all this worked. And then I started talking to other players, actually in my alliance, my new alliance. And, I looked at it and I was like, Patrick, Jesus, you're level 5. I was like at like level 1 or level 2. And then I started figuring out how all this works with getting this stuff leveled to open up these title grade buffs. And this is significant. And then always, like, before you, get the buffs that you need. Like, you're going to look in and see what you really should have, which I guess level 30 is the max, I'm assuming. So you look at this, and it's what you're going to get from the individual upgrade. But then also, you want to go in and you take a look at what this all says here and what you're getting and what's more relevant to you, because siege buffs might be more important than, ground buffs or cav buffs, like depending on how your defense is built. And I'm a siege heavy defense. So for me, like the siege stuff and the in-city siege stuff was really relevant to me. And now, I've gone pretty far in this, and I've got plenty of these golden twigs, but I got to get these leveled up first to open it, which I'm not sure what it must be. You have to get everything to level 5 to open the first one, which is in rally troop HP and enemy ground. Man, it's okay. I thought there was one that I was maybe it was this one, attacking siege machine range. I think this one, because I'm really gauged towards my siege right now and my archer, because I'm trying to get the archer caught up to the siege as far as the buffs. And I just went 44, and when I got to 44, I realized, boy, it is a lot harder to finish this military academy level than level 8 was. It seems like the scroll requirement is a lot higher. But it is what it is. You know what? I'm pretty close. I'm 102 twigs from this, which is attacking siege machine range troop attack, 15, attacking siege machine range troop defense, 10, enemy range troop and siege machine defense. Man, I don't know. That one's kind of a toss-up, huh? Because those are the only ones that I'm really looking at, I think. Well, wait, what's this one? Attacking mounted troop and ground troop defense, attacking mounted troop and ground troop attack, enemy range troop, siege machine attack, -10. And which that one I can't even do anyway. This one I'm a long ways from being able to do. So, that's the point with this, is like, you go in and see what's like beneficial for you in rally siege machine attack. If at all possible, right now I'm going for the in rally siege attack, and I'm going for in city siege HP, and the other one's in city ranged and siege HP. So those are the ones that I like kind of focus on and build up further, and then always go in and look at what you're going to be getting before you go ahead and okay, well I'm going to upgrade this one. Know what you're getting before you do it, and then the position promotion with this stuff. I mean, these seem like small buffs. Wait, what did I do? Oh, okay. Maybe I've just been adding them. I haven't really been paying attention. But that's pretty significant in rally siege machine attack, up to 28%. And then the level 5 buff, another 2%. So these are significant. I always like to pay attention to these. I'm not sure what. Okay. But that's my point, and that's another thing I'm going to discuss moving into the Coronation Fountain and the seals is, look at the long game. Look at what you're going to get here. Look at what you're getting with this new honorary, the new position promotion thing. And then look at what you're going to be getting here. So, and I'm sure everybody already does. There's probably a few newer players, or an issue that we come into is it's not just new players. It's players that they were playing the game for fun, and it was a social aspect of it, and they didn't really the people that were leading maybe didn't necessarily understand the game real well. So like what it takes in that case is a player that does know the game well to come in and when I just put it all on Alliance chat, and I've had people in the past say, you don't want to write all this, you don't need to write all this stuff in Alliance chat, la da 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 da. It clogs up the chat, and I'm like, it doesn't really clog up. I mean, the rallies are going to keep popping up, and when you've got a lot of people on, and you can reach a lot of people, and you don't have to worry about sending an Alliance mail where maybe 1 out of 10 people are going to read it, or Discord, where maybe no one ever goes on except to join voice in battle. With this, I know I'm reaching at least 10 players that are on right now, and they're all reading it because it's right there in their face. So, anyway, I don't know how I got off track on that. So, that takes care of Siege General Evaluation. That takes care of the Senate. So I would go over the seals real quick. It's basically the same as what I just went over in the Senate. Know what you're getting and be aware of the red star bonuses. So before you add seals, so I look at a few things when I'm adding seals. So I look at the first thing I look at is the main skill, and I'll be like, oh, la da da da. I like this one. I like this one. Let's see out of these which one I like. And for me, it's different. So, March Speed to Monsters became something of importance to me because I moved out of the big alliance, and now we're competing. And that's kind of like been the reason for my push, too. Like, I was K42 when I left, and I've been gone about about 3 months. Yeah, about 3 months. Yeah, 3 months I've been gone. So, March Speed to Monsters became an important thing. And then construction speed as well. And, I jumped 2 big keep levels, 43 and 44 since leaving. And part of my reasoning for that is I'm in a smaller alliance, and I don't have 6 premium reinforcement marches that can be sent to me and left there. Like I had in 1. So I realized that, you know what? Right now, I'm zero. They are capable of zeroing me, which I had not faced in a long time. So with that, I was like, I need to push as hard as I can, and I need to push research, and I need to push some things, and yeah, so I basically like pushed myself so that I would be stronger. And ironically, I was hoping to face a different alliance who also doesn't care much for me, I guess, whatever. And I was like, oh man, it would be awesome to face him in battle. It would be awesome. And then we ended up fighting one. And shoot, I bet you I was on the beach for about 10 seconds, and all of a sudden, blam, the screen goes red, and here the YB's bringing it on. And it took 12 rallies, but they zeroed me in 12. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun, honestly. I mean, I don't really care if I win or if I lose. Yeah, would you like to win? Yeah, but when I'm looking at an alliance that's 7 times bigger than us, I'm like, yeah, 700 billion versus 100 billion. We're likely going to lose, and we did. We did. But in this, yeah, look for what is going to be of value to you. Like construction speed was a value to me as well. So what I do is I go through the beasts that I have open, and I click and see which if I could find 2 that I really liked, that would match up. Which, let me see. I think this one. There's one where I'm done with all of them. It might be this one. Yeah, this one. In-City Siege Machine HP, go figure. Everyone knows I preach that. HP is king, especially on defense. So yeah, go through, pick which 2 of these buffs are both going to help you the most. And that's like kind of how I've built, is always think about the long journey, but also there's value in considering like what's going to help you right now, especially because if you're like me, you can't just afford to like spend and get all the buffs, to get all the extras and have everything. And then you just sit there with stuff piled up in your inventory waiting for the next keep upgrade. That would be nice. I would love to be able to do that. But I cannot. I do not have that ability. So find which 2 are going to match up and help you the most, and then build those up. But at the same time, keep an eye on this and keep that in mind too. Like what is going to benefit me the most? Let's see. In-City mounted attack, In-City mounted, In-City, everything on there's In-City mounted. That's probably not for me. Ground defense. And all this stuff is important. But yeah, with these, always keep an eye on what you're getting and then strive and shoot for that. Try to get that. That's going to benefit you the most, like right now, but also in the long term. Or switch back and forth. When I get enough of the blood crystals, I'm going to do this one because this is going to help me right now. And then the next time I've got 500 or 600, whatever you need saved up, then I'm going to look at something that's going to help me in the long term. So you're able to reach short-term goals and long-term goals all in one shot. Now, the final part of this video I wanted to cover, I covered it briefly a while back. Probably my last video. But I want to discuss Coronation a little further in depth. Now these packs, they're not super phenomenal, but you actually get a fair amount of resources out of them. But then again, I think if you're buying the big packs, it is pretty universal and it is pretty close to similar. But I do think you do get a little bit more when we're talking of each resource or all resources, what you're getting. And aside from that, the new event where you get free coins, like that's really helpful, because I remember when the first night it came out, everyone was like, oh, yep, another thing that you're only going to be able to get the coins if you spend money. So, and these aren't huge buffs. the first ones aren't anyway. Like the first buff, all troop HP, and of course the stuff that's straight gauge towards PvP. You know, they're not gonna give you a Lamborghini for free. You know, they're gonna give you a Ford Taurus with 50,000 miles on it. You know, you're not going to get like a big jump right off the rip. But, you know, all troops HP 5%, that's significant-ish, significant enough. You're getting the coins for free. Research speed and construction speed. So I'm a HP snob the way it is, but I do really like that you get the research and the construction speed on that. That's super helpful for a player like me that's trying to play catch-up with the K45s. In Rally Troop HP, I've worked on this one a fair amount. Level 5. That's a base number. I'm not going to tell you that I know exactly how that works specifically. I just know that it does work to some degree. And so there's probably a player out there that's really smart and knows how it works. Derek Defies probably knows how exactly that works. He's put a lot more into it. I'm more of a trial and error kind of guy. He's more of a, you know, numbers. And there's lots of players that are like that. All resources production, all troop load. So, you know, this one I haven't built really significantly on. And the main thing I went for on it was the in-rally HP. All troops defense. Like, this stuff is important. I don't view subsidy training speed super important the way I used to. Mainly because I have leveled up some subsidies to a really high level. So for me, it doesn't matter. You are not going to build a T-15 before battle's over. I promise you. Training capacity. Man. All troops defense, that's the biggest benefit on that one. But yeah, when you're doing this same as with the seals that I just talked about, look at everything that you're getting all across the board. You know, level 11, 5.5% all troops attack, march speed 10.5, and then all resources gathering 10.5, which I should gather, but I rarely do. But that's my point with like covering this part of it is, you know, look at what you're getting. Look at all three things, which all three things are going to be most relevant to you and are going to help you out. Which this one, you note, level 7 healing speed is only 3.5, and you look at this one, which is a lower level, and it's four times the number of what the healing speed was. And there's a reason for that, because healing speed is super beneficial for people that do all-stars. And if you've got a high enough healing speed, you aren't going to have to use as many speed-ups as quickly. So yeah, my main point in this part of the video is like, look at everything that you're getting and then make a decision, then decide. And I think you're going to be a lot happier with it, because there's so many things that I've done in this game and I've looked back and I'm like, oh man, that was stupid. Why did I do that? I should have built this general. I should have paid more attention before I did all this stuff, and I didn't, and I just kind of like ran after it willy-nilly, and it was not good. Then to just finish this video off, I've got lots of players that message me. I've made a lot of friends across, maybe not across continents, because we really don't cross paths that often, unless it's in, well, now I think we do kind of more in Battlefield, and maybe that's why they opened up Battlefield to fight cross continents. And then SVS, of course. We knew a lot of opponents that were going to be moving up into C1 before, because they had risen so high, you know, and they're ranked at the top of SVS, and you're going to cross paths. But But yeah, this is my team. You know, we are super small compared to the PvP Alliance, and I get that. And we have been struggling in Battlefield. I mean, I'm 35 billion in an alliance that's 133 billion now? It might be 133 billion. So we get really good opponents. It's still fun, and also part of it kind of is, you know, can you come in with a team that, you know, really has a long way to go to even just to catch up and teach them the game and see them get better. And honestly, it's been minimal progression, but every week and like every Battlefield, it does look a little better. And part of it is the people that you face, but honestly, we kind of face the same works every time. Like, there's going to be 2, maybe 3 really strong players, and then there's going to be a bunch of small players like in my alliance, and there's going to be a lot of traps, and they're going to pre-rain, cross-rain. So it is what it is, but we have a lot of fun. Patrick is a player that I think will at a minimum make juniors, if not elite, all-star. Oleg, his defense is coming along. I don't know where he is because he's always moving. Oh, wait, no, there he is. But he's not Oleg anymore. Now he's Trajan. And he's a player that I think, same boat, juniors or elite. I think both of them will make elite. I'm hoping I can make majors. It's, like I say, we have struggled a little bit, and it's hard to rank when you aren't winning. So we'll just adjust and do what we have to do to win 1 or 2 during qualifying, and we'll be all right. And then Radom Japan, he's our R5. For him, he wants to see his players that have kind of carried the alliance make all-stars. So, you know, it's a good deal. He looks out for them because he knows I'm gonna get in Battlefield, and he knows in our regular Battlefield that I will start soloing. Like, if they aren't filling rallies fast enough for me, and the enemy gets too much rain, then I'm gonna just cancel all the rallies, and then I'm gonna just do solo rally. So it's quick. So he knows with all-stars on the table, old Tim's going to go ahead and just be like, all right, you don't want to fill my rallies? Too bad. Be fast or be late for dinner, because that's how it's going to go. And, you know, that's how it works, which I can't fault them because there's like 5 or 6 different languages being spoken in my alliance. So it's pretty much all done through AC. But anyway, that's me. That's my alliance. This is just little old me right here. But yeah, that's our alliance, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that you can take some of what I talked about and plug it in, add it to your account, and, you know, reach some of your goals and push forward.